Hey everybody, it's Fox with FoxeoGames, and this is a Fox First Scent for Code Vein on the PC. And you know what? This feels like I haven't done it in a while. I feel like I haven't made a video in, I don't know, a couple months maybe. Let's see, when's the last time I made a video? Oh, wow. It's been over a year. No, I'm not dead, and I'm playing Code Vein. I also played Remnant from the Ashes, and I want to make a video on that too. Code Vein for the PC. It is the latest in a series of games that they call like Dark Souls, and I put air quotes on that. I literally did the air quotes even though you can't see me doing it. So Code Vein is similar to Dark Souls in many ways. It is impossible not to notice some of the many similarities. You've got Missile, which is like the bonfire. I don't know why it's called Missile, but that's fine. You can call it whatever you want. It's basically a bonfire at your spawn point. You have Estus-like health items that restock when you hit the missile, and of course all the enemies respawn as well. You collect haze, which is like experience points or souls, and when you die, you drop your haze where you died and you have to go back and get it, and if you don't get it before you die again, guess what? It's gone. You've seen this before. We've seen this many times before. Lords of the Fallen tried it. A whole bunch of games have tried it, and you know what? That's fine. Being inspired by Dark Souls doesn't mean it's bad or negative or anything like that. Novelty isn't the most important thing to me. What's important to me is that a game is fun, it's engaging, and Code Vein really is. So far, I don't know exactly what to think of it. Some of the combat, some of the game feel it's just a little off. It has that very distinct Japanese feel. It's almost like they took a game like, say, God Eater Burst or the God Eater series, and they tried to convert it over into a Souls-like game. So the combat feels ever so slightly, well, maybe loose or not as visceral as the Souls games would feel. In the Souls games, you really felt like you were swinging a weapon. You really felt like you were connecting those hits. In this game, it's not far off. It's actually really, really good. It's a really good approximation, but sometimes I feel like my weapon is just sort of like swinging through the characters rather than actually hitting them. It's hard to explain, and I don't really have a good defense for it should someone say, hey, I think you're wrong. It's just the way I feel while playing it. I also like that you can customize your character, and of course, in typical Japanese anime fashion, I customized the hell out of my character. She's wearing a zebra-striped cloak or coat or whatever, and then she's got on some gray hot pants, as they call them in the UK, short shorts, with pink accents, because hell, why not? Pink accents on the thigh-high boots. Well, this is really, really doing it for me, and you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But actually, you know what? It does matter. It matters more than a lot of those first-person games because you customize the hell out of your character in Skyrim and Oblivion, and then you don't see him again because you're playing first-person. You can go into third, but come on, nobody did that. Now, this is actually a third-person action RPG, in case you couldn't tell. Remarkably similar to God Eater in a lot of ways, the way it looks and feels, the layout of the levels. However, it's not necessarily that small mission-based arena feel that God Eater had. If you never played God Eater, that's fine. But the aesthetic is very similar. It is that very unique kind of futuristic Japanese anime, but they've added some dark elements to this as well. I don't know how I feel about how all the graphical elements come together. Some of the UI feels a bit cheap. Like, I mean, look at the stamina bar. It's just a solid color, long, skinny rectangle that I don't, they didn't even like put an outline over it that I can see. The health bar, of course, I mean, some of this stuff looks like it's still in alpha or beta state, and that should have been kind of tweaked and made to look a little better. But it's not a big deal. You get used to it. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, you can see the stats that my system is running it at, and if you look in the description of this video, you'll see my system stats. My computer's getting a little older now, but it's still good enough. I played this with the settings pretty much maxed out, and surprisingly, when I launched this game for the first time, it had nearly every setting exactly the way I'd want it. I think I turned off motion blur if that was in there. I don't remember. But basically every setting was set exactly the way I would want it set. Maxed out pretty much everything that needed to be maxed out, even set to borderless windowed, or I think it's called borderless full screen, which means that I can play the game on my main monitor, and I can easily shift over to my second monitor without having to minimize the game and run the risk of it crashing or something. Those are unique PC issues. If you're playing this on Xbox One or PlayStation 4, you don't worry about any of that stuff. But the whole point of the PC, mess with settings, change it up, mods, all that good stuff. I haven't modded the game yet, but I've definitely gone into the settings. Love those settings. So, how does Code Vein stack up when it comes to the graphics? Well, one thing I noticed is that in some areas, it looks really good. I mean, as a whole, the areas are very detailed. There's a lot going on here. It looks awesome. There's a lot of shininess to it that you may or may not like. It just depends on your preferences. Stuff glows everywhere and seems to have a bit of like a sheen. I don't know how to describe it better than that. But at the same time, there are textures that look like the kind of crap you would see in a mobile game on your smartphone. Like, some of the textures are really, really bad. And when I say that, what I mean is that they just look like, and again, the best description I can give is when you play a smartphone game and they have those textures that look kind of stretched out and they're high resolution, but there's not a lot of detail there. So really, that texture would look a lot better if it were played at, like, say, 720p versus 1080p. Code Vein also has a lot going for it when it comes to the combat. I would have to say this is probably a lot more complicated than any of the Souls games I've played so far. You've got your upgrades. You can upgrade in all sorts of different ways. You can do what's called, I forgot exactly what they call it, but you can, like, transform a weapon, so you can add lightning to it or fire to it, or you can make the weapon lighter at the expense of reduced stats on the weapon. There are different weapon types and different weapon speeds at which they sling. You have a fast attack and a slow attack. Of course, the issue there is I kept hitting the wrong buttons. I was hitting the shoulder buttons when in actuality they are the face buttons on a controller. I do not typically play these games with mouse and keyboard. I will try it at some point just to see how it feels. But these third-person action RPGs, like the Souls games, Sekiro, and all of those, play so much better with a controller. So even if you're on PC, I do recommend always using a controller, and the Xbox One controller is a great, great controller for that. PlayStation 4 controller, I think you can also get that working easily on the PC or the PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360. Now, as for the upgrades and all that good stuff, yep, it's there. You can upgrade, you can level up. You've got a lot more going on in terms of, don't know all the terminology yet, but there's these blood thingies and all sorts of stuff that you can kind of slot to your character. You can choose different modes, which is almost like a class, but not quite. And you can determine which abilities you get from that and then upgrade those abilities. And I think you can carry over some abilities, but some abilities are unique to when you're in that mode. Not 100% sure on how all this works because there's just so much going on, but I can say this. If you love to customize, if you love to upgrade, customize, modify your character, build a character just the way you want, even the visuals, it is all there. You can't choose breast size. That's just not a thing. I don't know why, but hey, they're good. They're fine. Anyway, yeah, if you remember, there was a game that came out where they removed the breast slider specifically for the North American audience. Oh yeah, that was Xenoblade Chronicles. I don't know why they do that. They got rid of it entirely here, but it's a different company. Secrets, of course, you got them here. Lots of stuff to collect. Lots and lots of loot. You've got your weapons, including the Zweihander. So they ripped that straight out of Dark Souls. I'm kidding, that existed before Dark Souls did. But there are a lot of items to collect, and of course you determine which you want to use. At first I thought I had to use a light weapon and a heavy weapon because that's sort of how the character came preloaded out when you first started the game. But then I realized, you know what, you can select any two weapons you want and switch between them. So you can have two weapons active at any one point in time. Hit the up directional button on your controller. Don't know what it is on PC yet. When it comes to mouse and keyboard, that is. Don't use that control scheme myself yet. But it's got a lot going for it, guys. I can't say for sure if I'm going to play this till the end, if I'm really going to get that invested into it, because the second boss I encountered, I think it's like the Delirium Butterfly, I have no idea what's going on. I'm getting hit by shit, and I don't know where it's coming from, and I don't even think anything's hitting me, but my health is being drained, and I had a really tough time with that, so I got to sit down and really figure that out. This is a game where if you're just going to hack and slash your way through, you'll die. You can't do it. It's like Dark Souls. Oh, I said it. It's like Dark Souls. But I put quotes on that every time I say it. No, it really is. If you try to just smash your way through this, grab a big weapon and swing, you'll keep getting staggered. But there's things you can do about getting staggered. There's different armor pieces you can put on. You can upgrade those as well. So, with all this going on, it is actually a little more complicated than I think it probably needs to be, because there's also this thing called Ichor, I believe they pronounce it, and that works almost like a mana pool, and it shows down, if you look down there, you can see I have 8 out of 10. It's pretty low. Depending on what blood, whatever thing you doohickey you equip and your mode you're in, you may get more or less of that. The maximum amount you can have changes depending on a variety of factors. You can drain it from the enemies and restock it. You can restock it from items that you pick up in the game as well. You can trade items with other characters to get unique things such as additional gestures. Yes, the game has gestures, thank goodness. I love that. I love when a game has gestures. It makes for an easy time making cool screenshots and doing funny things in multiplayer co-op, or just doing funny things when people are watching your video. You know what I mean? So, have you guys played Code Vein? And if so, what do you think of it? I'm still figuring it all out, but all I know is I love this zebra striped coat she's got on. I love the shorts with the pink highlights in the thigh-high boots. It works for me, and so does that hairstyle. I'm Fox with FoxeoGames, guys. I will see you all in the next video, and hopefully it won't take another year to get that one out. Later.